are some of the other majors that we've got here? Yes.
Like my concentration in communications, but media is my concentration.
Cool. Anybody else? Econ?
Yeah, no, I do communications, but I do radio and television.
Oh, cool. So, I've talked to some of you guys already. Why are you guys taking this class?
Well, I guess this is like the new thing in the last decade, and it's only going to become more increasingly important. So it's good to like, because I feel like now when like companies, like when they're starting to use social media, they're going to kind of look towards our generation, our age group, to kind of be the people who are very proficient in it. So I kind of wanted to learn how to like use it for a more professional use.
And do all of you guys generally feel like you're going to be using social media to some capacity in the jobs that you want? Yeah, maybe, not really. Okay. No, it's cool. It's cool to have like a nice variety here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and what I do. That is a Muppet. That's a Muppet. It's amazing. I'm normally more serious than that, I figured. I have a little fun. So these are some of the clients that I've had. So I have a long history in the agency world. I'm a lot older than I look, I guess probably some of you were wondering. So I've been in the agency world for about 8 years, I think at the earliest, but I've had some jobs before then. And what I really love about ad agencies is I get to work on a variety of clients. So as opposed to going in-house and working for one brand for however long period of time, I get to touch all these brands. I get to work on all of these brands in different capacities. So for Budweiser, I wasn't AOR, but I got to work on some cool projects with them. As a matter of fact, Project 12, we launched their first tumbler. It led to that weird beer that they released last year that apparently nobody likes, but that was my fault. Starwood Hotel, I was much deeper involved in their business, created social playbooks for them, and I'll get into that later. Gatorade, again, much more deeply involved as their social AOR. Kiehl's I've had for the longest amount of time. Is anybody a Kiehl's fan? Anybody like Kiehl's? Sarah? Alright, well then maybe I haven't done my job that well. Dog Chow, probably one of the more fun brands that I've worked on. Power Bar, Louis Vuitton, I work with them in a very limited capacity. A little insider thing that you guys should know is they're part of LVMH, huge holding company for a lot of like luxury brands. They do not like working with agencies, so we really lucked out, and we have a contract with them to do mostly research and analytics. Again, sounds pretty boring. I'm going to try and make it super fun for you guys. Kmart, we're working on a huge rebranding right now. I'm going to take you guys a little bit behind the scenes with that. Shoe Carnival, no one knows. I don't know why I put that up there. And Strivectin. Anyone familiar with Strivectin? Seen it before? Another beauty brand. So some of the stuff that I've done. So again, I produce social playbooks for distribution throughout all Starwood Hotel properties. Basically, they wanted social media to be handled at the hotel level, so that actual like concierges that are in the hotels are the ones that are tweeting, that are responding, but they need order and form around it. And so we designed these playbooks to tell them everything from what the brand stands for in social to sort of basic social 101, responding, publishing, things like that. Facebook Studio is sort of Facebook's offering for agencies and brands to teach them how to use their platform better. I work directly with people at Facebook to host the very first Studio Edge session. So a ton of brands, biggest agencies, all came together at my agency, Big Fuel, to sort of learn about the next phase of Facebook and how they can directly apply it to their marketing objectives. So that was pretty cool. And is anyone familiar, how familiar are you guys all with agencies, ad agencies? And can you name some of them? No, yes, maybe. Do you watch Mad Men? Some of those still exist. So can you name a couple, just throw some names at me. Really famous Ogilvy, yeah. And then there's a really big award-winning one called Mead and Kennedy. Does anyone know who the agency was that did the Oreo Dunk in the Dark campaign? No? 360i. So yeah, obviously I've been in the agency world for a really, really long time. I can write all these things off the top of my head. But I contributed to a book on technological innovation at CES, again at Big Fuel. So why I keep mentioning agencies, why I keep mentioning Big Fuel is it's really where I got immersed in social media. I just started as a general marketing practitioner and didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. I didn't know if I wanted to go more creative. I didn't know if I wanted to go analytic. So what Big Fuel was and what it offered me is one of the first pure play social media agencies. Do you know what that means? So all we did was social media. That's all we did. We were the social agency of record. So I'm going to probably throw around terms like AOR. And feel free to, I know it's like 10 o'clock on a Monday morning, but feel free to stop me, yell out. You don't have to raise your hands. If I throw out some like technical terms that that you may not have heard before. So we were social AOR for a lot of the big brands that I've worked for. So Samsung, we were social AOR for Starwood Hotels, things like that. And that was really great because I got to really get immersed in the discipline of social media and work exclusively on social media. And we worked with our agency partners on some of the other stuff. So I had to deal with a crisis this past year. And basically one of my CPG clients, you guys know what CPG is, right? So CPG is basically, think of like everything that you can buy from a grocery store. If that makes any sense. So I had a CPG client, happened to be a peanut butter. We had a huge recall. The factory was contaminated with salmonella. And so that's kind of the worst nightmare, I guess, for a social media agency, but specifically for social media strategists and for community managers. To have a crisis like that. What we were able to pull off, and I'm not going to address it here, but you are very welcome to ask me about it, how we were able to pull it off. I don't think it's particularly compelling, even though I'm super proud of it, but we were able, through all of our efforts, to reduce negative sentiment. Do you guys know about sentiment analysis? I get super technical. Oh man. So sentiment is basically how people feel about your brand in social media. And there are different ways. There's actually technologies and platforms where you can measure what people are saying, and it'll give you levels of sentiment. It'll give you sentiment over time. So how people are feeling about your brand, what they're talking, what they're saying about your brand over time. And so we were able, negative sentiment obviously is bad. You don't want people saying bad things about your brand. We were able to reduce it to pre-crisis levels. So basically, there's a certain amount of negative sentiment every brand has. And then obviously, when you have a crisis, like a recall, it goes through the roof. Negative sentiment goes through the roof. People are like, oh my God, this is the worst peanut butter ever. But we were able to actually get them more, not more positive, but less negative following the recall. So that was pretty cool. Granted, we really just increased the neutral level. People were saying like, I'm just gonna go back and buy some peanut butter. So it wasn't like, I love this peanut butter, but it was a pretty big recovery. I just this past week wrapped up a social brand discovery for Kmart, and you can imagine how difficult that was. So out of curiosity, when I say Kmart, what do you guys think? Have you guys been to a Kmart in the last year? None of you guys? Yes? Some of you guys? Have you been to the one in the city? No? Okay.
I didn't even know there was one in the city.
There are two in the city, actually. Alright, so what do you guys think? Throw some words at me when you think Kmart. What would you say? If you were to tweet about Kmart, what would you say? You can be completely honest with me.
It's like kind of comparable to Walmart.
Walmart? How so? Would you buy clothes at Kmart?
I feel like it's like quantity over quality.
It's a big box retailer. So they're in that big box. Target is actually in there as well.
I might
So
buy like
any of you
socks
guys-
at Kmart.
What?
I might buy socks at Kmart.
Socks, yes. A lot of people say that socks. Like, if it's raining, I might run in and buy like some
Mouthwash.
galoshes, mouthwash, yeah. So obviously Kmart has a branding problem. People think that they suck. We did extensive analysis and showed some really tough data to to the client. Actually, we did a thing called verbatim, so we actually pulled comments and showed it to them. And it was difficult, but we're doing a big social rebranding right now to sort of turn that perception around. And then also, I also lead a team at my current agency. It's called ICE Media. So I lead a team of 5 social media managers. And there was a period of downsizing a couple of months ago, but I am super proud of the fact that I was able to grow my team and promote a team member during a period of downsizing. Just proving the value of my team, proving that we work really hard and that we're valuable to the company and that they deserve to grow and that they deserve to thrive in their careers at the agency, even though we're kind of cutting costs left and right. So I'm really super proud of that, and I've written 20 POVs, just a glimpse into the life of a social strategist in the last year alone.
And a POV is a point of view paper.
Yes.
Kind of
So
like an
basically,
essay.
I've written 20 essays on everything from, let's see, every time there's a Facebook update, I usually write an essay about it. And then an emerging platform. So when Snapchat came out, I actually had Snapchat in my office. And just a little sort of behind the scenes. Who uses Snapchat here? Do you guys use Snapchat? All of you guys? Wow, okay. So Snapchat is very staunchly against brands getting involved. They're like, brands can get involved and they'll play nice in the sandbox and they'll be fine. But really, where they're taking their platform, it's very, very user focused, and they're very clear about that. That they, are going to evolve the platform, make changes to the platform, make business decisions based on users, what you guys want, and what you guys need, and how you guys use the platform. So it's not necessarily for us. But they'll keep me posted. But I think what's cool is that they're also, as far as brands go, they're also very publisher friendly. So, so we'll talk a little bit about that later. You can ask me questions about it. Actually, I don't even know I have it in here. So, does anyone have any questions before I move on to the next section?
If Snapchat's not aiming at brands, how are they aiming at making money?
Publishers. Yeah. Because there's something about publishers are closer to the consumer. Brands are really trying to sell. Publishers are trying to sell it to me technically.
They have ads now. They have like a discover button.
Yeah, the Discover platform. So
You have
that's
to like
Yeah.
click to look at ads.
Hmm?
You have to like click to look at ads, but who would really do that?
Yeah, well, so that's where they're still exploring there, and at least our Snapchat reps are still like very honest with us in the fact that they're exploring. They don't know, when Discover first came out was when I called them in, and they don't know if Discover is going to work. They don't know if people like Discover. They don't have any data on it at all. They don't know if publishers even like Discover, if they think it's not worth their investment. There's a huge buy-in, by the way, to use the platform. So they're very honest. They're like, we're just figuring this out. Let's take it day by day. And I think that's a really great business strategy. I think that's really smart on their part to be really thoughtful like that and say, if something doesn't work, we'll kill it. So we'll see. We'll see where Discover goes. My POV on that was very short because I just didn't want to spend time on something that Snapchat might potentially kill. So it sounds like you guys are a little skeptical about Discover. Have you guys been watching the Snapchat TV show? Whatever it's called. It sounds really awful. No? Okay. Alright, so, learning the 6 C's. Does anybody know what movie that is? Did I just Yes. So, learning the 6 C's. And this is kind of how I like to ground my social strategy. So, it's climate. So, what does the current landscape look like? I'm actually not going to address that in this presentation. This is just it's really brand specific, and it's kind of a huge question, but I can give you examples for sure of how you would address that. Next, you're looking at your competitors. So who are you competing with? How do you stack up? Which I go into quite a bit. Company, what's your product? What does it stand for? Consumer, who are you speaking to? This is my favorite part. I totally geek out over consumer behavior. So who are you speaking to? How do they behave? How do we shop? Content, so I think this is the stuff that you guys are a little more interested in, how to create good content, how does content go viral, I saw was one of the questions you wanted to answer at the beginning of the class. So what are you saying? And then channels, again, something I think that you guys were interested in. So where are you saying those things? So, I'm going to bypass climate. I'm going to go straight to competitor. So, types of competitors. Can anyone guess these? How would you categorize a brand's competitors? Anybody? Alright, I'll start it off. A direct competitor. And then can anyone guess what the next one is? You got your direct competitors. And then you've got your indirect competitor. And then you've got your emerging competitors. So what does this look like? So if I represent a brand of organic baby food, my direct competitors would be all organic baby foods. And does this look familiar to some of the marketing folks? Yeah? Okay. So, indirect competitors, all baby food in general. Now, what that means is that if I was a mom looking for organic baby food, obviously I would not be looking at Gerber. But it's in the same category as me. I need to be aware of Gerber, but I wouldn't be looking at Gerber. And then emerging, which I thought was really interesting, is the baby bullet. So basically kind of like the regular bullet, which you guys are probably familiar with. It's been a bunch of vegetables and the thing, and it does a thing and stuff. Apparently there's a baby version, which just looks to me like they made some cups and it has a smiley face. But yeah, it's probably more of a direct competitor to us than Gerber, just because if you were interested in organic baby food, and if you were a bit ambitious, you would probably buy the baby bullet and make your own baby food, whereas probably the value proposition, you guys are familiar with the term value proposition? Your sort of distinguishing feature of what you offer as a brand. Our value proposition is that you can deal with the baby bullet, which requires a lot of setup and a lot of washing and a lot of stuff. Or, since you're a busy mom, just buy organic baby food. So, identifying competitors. I thought this was really interesting. There's your competitor by product. So, do you offer similar products and services as this other brand? Place. Are you carried by the same retailers or exist in the same market? So, when you see a Burger King across the street from a McDonald's. Price. So, are their prices comparable to yours? So, there might be a competitor out there that you haven't thought of, but someone's picking between you and that brand because the prices are pretty similar. And do people mention your brand alongside their brand? I'm going to skip over this. This is terribly boring. But then you can figure out positioning. Usually what this chart kind of changes from brand to brand. Sometimes you see, it usually always has a value axis. So price point, and then sometimes I see quality as the other value axis. So here's where it gets super cool. This is cool to anybody else but me. You guys have totally seen that. You probably would have. Yeah. So remember we were talking about sentiment. So this is actually Louis Vuitton sentiment. They launched this thing in LA, which seems like the most sort of LA thing I've ever heard of. Is anyone from California? I'm about to offend everybody from California. But there's charts up here, so you should be totally okay with this, right? So they launched this event in LA, and basically it's this huge exhibit where they put this Louis Vuitton stuff all over the place and set up these cool logoed, I don't even know how to describe it, these cool logoed spaces, like the LV logo in neon lights getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and these crazy mirrors and stuff. And basically what it is kind of like a selfie playground. So people go in and they just take selfies in their cool expensive outfits and brag about going to this Louis Vuitton thing. It was so dumb. But it's not my job to advise what they do. It's my job to measure what they do. So basically they wanted to know did that event change the sentiment or their share of voice during that time period, which is why we did this over sort of day by day. What's weird is Gucci kept overtaking us because they were dealing with some problems. Also because it's really, really hard when you're dealing with these sentiment programs to filter out things like Gucci Mane. Also, when people use Gucci as like a slang term. So I don't know if you guys have ever used that, but it really threw a kink in things. So share of voice was not exactly the most accurate thing ever. As far as sentiment, Gucci actually went down. They were dealing with a little bit of a crisis at the time. They were being sued for something, so we thought that was really interesting and kept them down. We were fairly healthy compared to our competitors, but they were. The thing about luxury is it changes all the time because they're in the news all the time. So, yeah, that's just sort of one way to do sentiment or competitive analysis. And then there's engagement. So Facebook rolled this out, I don't know, a couple months ago. Have you guys ever been in like the Facebook analytics dashboard? You guys are pretty familiar with it. Anyone not familiar with it? Never touched it before? No? You guys are all fairly familiar with it. So they added this a couple months ago, which I thought was really cool, which is the pages to watch feature. And so we put them together for all of our brands, and oh hey, that's mine, and we're up from last week, so that's kind of awesome. So I thought that was really cool. Now I've done way more extensive competitive audits, but I really love that this is sort of at a glance, and you get to see sort of in real time how you're stacking up. So company, I think one of those guys is from Facebook, and he like started like a brewery or something in Williamsburg that has like USB ports and the seats, and that's kind of why I showed this picture of the Lacey and such hipsters. So your brand promise, again, pretty familiar to anyone in the marketing, who are marketing majors. So there's a really easy equation for this, and we're going to actually do this in a little bit if I have time. I'm talking as fast as I possibly can.
You're good. You're at almost 10:30.
And
So you've got about 45 minutes left.
So there's a really easy equation for this, and stop me if you've actually seen different ways to do this in some of your classes, but this is sort of my go-to. So your competitive offering, your audience needs, your defendable strengths, and your core brand values. So what do each of those mean? Competitive offering. What does your brand offer that your competitors do not? Audience needs. What does your consumer need? Defendable strengths. How does your brand meet those consumers' needs? And core brand values. What are you providing? Why are you providing this value to your consumers? It's a little more sort of emotional, aspirational. So they come together to form a brand promise. So really what that reads like is my brand delivers whatever your competitive offering is to a consumer that needs whatever we decided that they need through your defendable strengths that meets your vision of core brand values. So, you guys are ready. Also, if I pick the right marker, let's see if this works. That was not good. Someone throw some brands at me. A brand that you like. I think you guys did this already. Did you pick 3 brands for your mention? Wait, did you guys say I didn't mention that? Oh, okay, good. So I'm not spelling it. I'm gonna use brown. It's my least favorite color, but it seems to be the marker that works. So someone name a brand. Any brand. Yeah.
Taco Bell.
Okay. Okay, so Taco Bell. What do they have? What's their competitive offering? What do they have that the other sort of fast food chains don't? Yeah.
Well, I guess in a sense they're completely different from that of like a Burger King and McDonald's because they offer like, it's like Mexican food. It's not your basic fast food, which is like a burger and fries. So it's very different.
So
Like the product is very different.
Mexican. Is it really Mexican?
I guess.
It's just like South American food.
Yeah, I guess we just get.
Am I writing really small? Alright, so what does the audience need? You're a fast food consumer, what do you need? Why would you even consider Taco Bell?
cheap prices.
Cheap. Alright. So they're affordable. What else does your audience need?
Convenience.
Okay. So this is all sort of category stuff. You know, I'm gonna write down something different. Because if you think about it, Wendy's, McDonald's, and Burger King kind of all offer the same thing. You get a burger and fries at each of those things. You get like a quesadilla or something at Taco Bell. So I'm gonna put down something different. Alright, so defendable strengths. You guys seen Taco Bell commercials? What do they say? I quoted Taco Bell commercials for
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Well, yeah, that technically is just like the whole line. That's like our brand promise, you care about Taco Bell. Do they still see that?
I don't think so.
That's been around forever.
I think like the new slogan is like live Moss.
Yeah.
So they're saying like live
Yeah.
big. Is that what that is?
Yeah,
Actually, I took French. I didn't take. I'm just guessing. So live big. And what we're doing right now, so even though they have these like slogans, the Yo Quiero Taco Bell, Live Más, this is like the behind the scenes stuff. This is the stuff that they go and tell their community managers, you must live, breathe this all day. Even their like customer service people, you must live, breathe this all day, every day. Their marketers, when they're briefing their agencies, like this is the behind the scenes, like this is what Live Más means, you know? So public facing to you guys see Live Más. They see this. So affordable convenience, so something different, we're gonna do that. South American flavor, we're gonna do that. Defendable strengths, how does your brand meet those consumer needs? Variety, I would say, is one. Who's an actual Taco Bell consumer here? Who's been to a Taco Bell? How would you guys describe it? What would you guys say? So I actually put convenience over here. Variety, convenience. How'd it taste?
I think it's delicious.
Great. So it's flavorful. And why do you think that they're offering that to people? So the core brand values. Why do you think Taco Bell exists? Think about like the founder of Taco Bell. Why did he think this was a good idea?
Because it's so different from the norm. Like it could be attractive to people who are like, oh, I just don't want tired of just getting a hamburger and fries. I want something else. Or like people who like do like the South American flavor, the Mexican food, who just don't want to have to go to like a sit-down restaurant, want something quick and like cheap.
Spice things up. So how does that all come together? The brand promise. So Taco Bell offers South American flavor to a consumer that needs something different by offering a variety of flavorful foods to spice things up. So that is the internal facing brand promise. That's what everyone, whoever has to execute on the brand, whether it's in social or otherwise, needs to live up to. So what's next? Gets a little more fun from there, I promise. Brand persona. This is G-rated. Anybody know what this is? You guys seen it at all?
Yeah.
It's like the banana carrying case that Groupon was offering. Did you guys see what Groupon did with that?
Yeah.
So yeah, people were like taking this and running with it and like making fun of the fact that it doesn't look G-rated. And Groupon was actually responding to every single comment with its own sort of like humor, so I thought that was great. So there are sort of 4 key tenets of a brand persona. So the first one is functional. What does the brand offer? Do you guys know what the next one is? other than like Harry Styles crying because they left One Direction. Any guesses?
How does the audience feel about them?
Yeah, so emotional. What feelings does your brand provoke? The next one. Pretty easy recipe.
Is that like kind of like, will it last? Like the lasting value of it?
Part of it. Part of it. Any other guesses? We got functional, we got emotional, rational. How does the brand behave? And then finally, this is a really, I'm going to give you guys this because this is a really bad image. I kind of phoned that one in. Spiritual. So what does the brand believe in? So an example of how that comes to life in social. What does the brand offer? Functional. Quality products that work, the finest ingredients, solutions for a variety of skin and hair care needs. I'm emphasizing that because I want you guys to guess what brand this is. Convenient shopping in-store and online, perks like samples and rewards, unrivaled customer service. Emotionally, it's connected, it's righteous, it inspires trust, it's inspired, it's charitable, and it evokes delight. Rationally, it is cool, it is confident, it's charming, discerning, quirky and spirited, community-centric, so again, bringing back that sense of community, altruistic, and then spiritually, they believe in quality and high standards, having a strong sense of purpose, serving the customer and the community, honoring values and beliefs, helping people in the environment, being and doing your best, and having fun. Can anyone guess what this is? It's a brand I've worked on before. It's one of my clients. I think you might have that.
Kiehl's.
Kiehl's. It's Kiehl's. So this is the brand persona that we put together for Kiehl's. Out of curiosity, what were the specific clues that ticked you off?
The skin and hair care. I just thought of your list at the beginning, but I guess I didn't really know that they were charitable, so not really that. But I guess the fine ingredients and the rational stuff too.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, so charity is actually a huge, huge part of their brand, and it's interesting that you said that because that means we have some work to do in terms of communicating that out to other people. So, brand cornerstones, again, really, really simple formula for how to put together your brand cornerstones. It's an adjective and a noun. That's all you need. So, for example, savvy plus ally equals the savvy ally. And what does that look like? She's credible. She's backed by proven science to be a trusted source for skincare. Contemporary. She's always up to date. And then yada yada yada. It's not that interesting. What does that look like in social? We're starting to put together the social aesthetic. What does that look like? So all that confidence and sophistication comes live in color, but we keep the sort of metal alloy look through a silver, and we keep the science, the seriousness through black. But then we still are playing in the beauty space. Do you guys know what brand this is? By the way, it's not Kiehl's. Actually, it is another brand that I've worked on. Mostly the same stuff that I've worked on. So it's striped Active. So science, and then we've got color because we're still in the beauty space. So, and especially heavy on the reds because red is a really strong color for beauty. You want to read more about that. There's a lot of literature out there on color theory and how it triggers certain parts of the brain and compels you to feel one way or another about something. So we picked some strong reds there to catch your eye, especially when you're talking about in-feed. So do you guys know about in-feed versus algorithm-based? So there are basically two different kinds, at least to me in my line of work, there are two different types of social platforms. So there's a platform in-feed, which means it's important for your brand to stand out, your content to stand out in feed because it just goes into this giant feed of content. And so it's really important that your brand stands out and stands for something. And then there's stuff like Facebook, which is algorithm-based. So everybody knows about the Facebook algorithm, right? You guys know that there's that Facebook basically uses a machine to show you guys what they show you? And it's like really annoying when it applies to your friends, but it's not as annoying when it applies to brands because it'll filter out all the crappy brand stuff. Yeah? Okay. So, so I gave you an example of what is, of an algorithm-based platform. What's an in-feed platform? You guys name a platform where it's really important to stand out in feed. Instagram. Pinterest, I think, is one of the best examples of like you need to stand out in feed. So the reason why we do this is so that when you're creating content, people can tell at a glance whether or not you have your brand on it. So I took the brand, actually the brand's logo was like all over the slide, I took it out. So that you'll be able to tell, even if I don't put the brand's logo on the piece of content, I can tell that that's content. So what, do you guys know an example of a brand that does that really well? Where like, it comes up in your feed and you know exactly what brand that came from? I'll give you one of my favorites, it's Kate Spade. So Kate Spade does not, they'll sometimes put their logo on stuff, but sometimes they don't, and I can tell exactly when I'm like, especially scrolling through Instagram, I can tell exactly if something came from Kate Spade. Any other ones? Any of your favorite brands? What are some of your favorite brands?
Lily Pulitzer is like that with the colors.
Yeah, so they've got like a really distinctive color scheme, and then they're also like super like Nantucket-y. I know if I like see something in my feed that's like super Nantucket-y. It's usually really good. So, anybody else? Any favorite brands?
Burberry is their always posting London pictures.
Yes.
Always on feed or Instagram.
Absolutely. So yeah, Burberry, and they keep it really like it's really funny how they do this, and they're doing it so subconsciously that you probably don't even notice. But like everything's like a little like grayish and dull. They keep like the low contrast dull, and if you think about a rainy London day, that's kind of the effect that it has on things, and they did that on purpose. So that's a really really good example. So what's next? Do you guys remember what's next? In terms of like the 6 C's? No? It was like a million years ago. So consumer is next. Okay. So how do they shop is one of the first things that I want to know about the consumer. And this is, again, the business majors here, it's nothing new to you guys. The funnel, awareness, consideration, conversion, loyalty. This is a typical consumer funnel. However, sometimes it looks different. Sometimes it looks like this. So this is actually a fashion funnel, fashion shop. It's not really a funnel, it's more of a cycle. So if this seems familiar to you guys, and I'm sure you guys all shop for clothes, but there's a couple more steps in here. It's still broken out into awareness and conversion, engagement is a new one, and loyalty. But basically, if you think about it this way, you discover something, you discover a product. You feel inspired, you have to figure out how to wear it, right? Or then there's the orientation phase, which is like, can I afford it? Does it like fit with everything else in my wardrobe? And then you buy it, right? And that's only like halfway through the cycle. So then after that, it's all about the experience. If you wear it for the first time, you want people to compliment you on it. You want to feel good. You know, if you're buying like a skirt, sorry to get like super girly, but like, if you're buying a skirt, you want to make sure it like feels good on you, it fits right on you. You're not adjusting it like every 2 seconds. It doesn't like fly up like with a strong gust of wind. And then service. So, you know, do I need to return it? Do I need to exchange it for another size? How easy is it to do that? And that's sort of in the engagement phase. And then interaction. So actually interacting with the brand. And posting things and so following them across their social media channels, posting things, mentioning them, having comments and conversations, and then finally after that point is advocacy. So you advocating on behalf of the brand in social media. So what's interesting about that is these little squares, which all represent sort of different parts of the marketing mix. Am I getting super check? Am I losing anything? No? Oh, okay. Cool. And what is really great is when you lay out the marketing mix, social media plays a role at every step on the path to purchase. Super, super important at every step and facilitates every step. So public relations drops off sometimes. Search and display is obviously very important in the upfront, the top funnel, if you will, if you ever use that terminology. And then like direct drops off, and e-comm only comes in really at the conversion parts of the funnel, but social media is important at every single step. So that's how they shop. Here's what they need. So this is an audit that we did with a tool called Crimson Hexagon. Is anyone familiar with that? Lots of agencies use it. It's incredibly expensive. So it is a huge, clunky, expensive tool for social listening, and it's also partially what we use to do the Louis audit. And so this was for a pitch actually, so pitching is one of the more exciting things that I get to do. So we decided we were pitching a skincare client where their main offering was a cleanser. So things that we wanted to understand, the general skincare category, which we thought was really interesting. What's really interesting about this word cloud, so this pulls in from Twitter mostly, and whatever Facebook profiles are public enough for Crimson Hexagon to filter through it. And so these are some of like the terms that were associated when we tried to pull up skincare. So natural remedy we thought was interesting, aloe vera was interesting. So people are looking for something that's a little gentler on their face, a little less chemical heavy. And they're also looking for like home remedies and what they can do themselves. So we thought that was really interesting. Within the cleanser category, we learned that format was really important to consumers. So we learned cream versus gel, and we also learned that reviews are also really, really interesting. That's kind of the main source of inspiration for people. And then we did a competitive audit. So we started looking at all of the competitive set and what people associate them with. So Origins obviously stood out for their facial cleanser, so we put them in the direct category, or in the direct competitor category. We also thought was really interesting was all the other stuff that popped up. Travel size seems to be a really big draw for Origins. Does anyone shop at Origins? Anyone owns any Origins skincare? I don't either. It's totally cool. But we kept seeing sizes pop up, so people are pretty concerned about getting travel sizes and traveling with Origins, which I thought was really interesting. So that's their big draw. So that's what they need, and this is when they need it. Does anyone use Google Trends? Has anyone ever used it before? And do you guys use, like, what other Google products do you guys, other than like search? Google has a whole suite of products for you guys to do research. Like, and it's free, which kind of blows my mind. But. So Google Trends, one of my favorite things to do is to look at searches for a particular term over time. And what we found when we were pitching Clarisonic, actually, so does anyone own a Clarisonic? It's like little wands, yeah. Alright, so did you buy yours yourself, or did someone buy it for you? You got it as a gift. We did not know that. Clarisonic did not know that either. That most Clarisonic purchases were gifts, and most of the purchase activity or interest around Clarisonic happened leading up to the holidays. So basically, what we found from comparing that with other consumer research is Clarisonic's the kind of product. Does anyone know what a Clarisonic is? Everyone knows what a Clarisonic is? Fellas, you guys know what a Clarisonic is? No? Okay. It's like this weird wand brush thing, right? And it like, the brush rotates, and like basically you like hold it up to your face, and it's like it scrubs your face with this rotating mechanical brush. The price points start at like $120 per device. And then it's like you don't just buy the device, you have to actually buy like the creams and the cleansers and like all this other stuff. Basically what we found is like people who want a Clarisonic go, I need that. Like they usually like, need it for a reason. They go, I need that, but I just don't have the heart to buy that for myself. It is really, really expensive. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it on a wish list. And then that's when this happens. That's when people are like looking at their friends and family. Usually it's a family member. Do you get it from a family member? a family member's wish list, and they're like, what's a Clarisonic? And then they type it into Google, and this is what Google tells us. So that's when they need it. And then we're interested in where they get it. This was an unaided survey that we just did of 111 people all across the U.S., women ages 18 to 65 plus, and we told them just name where you shop. Pretty simple question, open-ended, type it right in, name where you shop. Nordstrom, I did not expect to be that huge. Also because there's not a Nordstrom like everywhere, so I think that's really, really interesting, and testament to their e-commerce. Kohl's is highlighted, Target's highlighted, thrift shop is highlighted. So we did this on behalf of Kmart. Because Kmart wants to establish themselves as a fashion destination. Before you guys laugh, we're getting there. But we thought it was interesting that, skip that, that thrift shops made it on here, and that we're showing a shift in consumer behavior, that it's not about the brands you wear, and let me know if this applies to you guys. It's not about the brands you wear. It is no longer about the brands. There was one point in time, at least in my generation, where it was all about the brands you wear. I mean, huge logos everywhere. You've got like Tommy Hilfiger going straight up the side of your entire body. Like, it was pretty bad. But what we've noticed among fashion consumers, it's not about that. It's about how it fits you, what it says about your personal style, what it says about your individuality. And that's why we thought that this was really, really interesting, that thrift shops kind of made it on here in an open, unaided question. Does this apply to you guys? Is this how you generally feel when you go shopping for clothing? Cool. So why they shop? This is, I'm really bad. I forgot to put like a footnote here. I did not make this up. This came from someplace else. But basically, this is sort of a really good matrix of like emotional to functional and like needs to wants, and where the different products that you can feasibly spend all your money on lie in terms of that. What we did when we did it for Kmart, so this is why someone would buy fashion at a big box retailer like Kmart. Number one is because it's affordable, and number two, because they're looking for basics and staples. So Kmart unfortunately made the mistake of loading up on all these like trendy clothes, believe it or not, and we had to kind of level set with them and tell them that they're kind of going in the wrong direction, because no one's going in your store for, say, a fringe cardigan. Like, no one goes, oh, fringe cardigan, I'm going to go to Kmart. But people are going, I need a tank top to wear under said fringe cardigan. That's when they're going to Kmart. So any questions about that section at all? No, you guys are pretty set? Alright, now to the fun stuff. So, content. So here is some verbatims from you guys, actually. You guys did an exercise at the beginning of the class, do you remember that? Where you talked about what you already know and what you want to know. So you wanted to know what's trending. You wanted to know how to create good content. And then you also want to know how to make content go viral. I'm not going to address that because I don't believe in making content go viral, if you haven't picked up on that. Alright. Content categories, product, promotions, company, campaign, lifestyle, pretty straightforward. Those are the 5 main types of content that you can publish on behalf of a brand. I'm going to show you examples from Kiehl's. So, product, pretty straightforward. It's winter. Here are some winter products. Promotions. It's Healthy Skin Week, so you get this like cute little bag with samples plus a full-size product with your purchase. Company, so talking about heritage, hugely important to Kiehl's. To talk about the fact that they're one of the oldest businesses in New York. The Kiehl's flagship store has been there since pretty much forever. Or at least like 160 years, I think we're up to. So it's really important for them to sort of brag about that. Campaign, we did this like cute red carpet thing for the Oscars. And then lifestyle, so those beautiful unbranded photos that you see in your Instagram is sort of in the lifestyle category. That's just like this product fits in with your life. All the other stuff that you're doing and the other sort of aesthetics of your life, this product fits in. So after you've established sort of your content categories, you look at your post objectives. So again, the funnel. awareness, learn about my company, consideration, engage with me, conversion, buy my products. So those are sort of like calls to action on the side. And loyalty, endorse me. So calls to action, hugely important when we put together good content. A lot of people, a lot of creatives that I work with seem to believe that you do not need a call to action. What you learn really quickly from being on social media on behalf of a brand is that I don't want to say people are stupid. They're not stupid. They need a little nudge. So, and people have done studies on this, and it's proven that like when you nudge somebody, they tend to do it. If you're like, here's a thing, then they're like, okay, there's a thing. But you're not telling them to do anything with that thing. So that's what I always say that to my creatives. I'm like, it's like we're saying, here's a thing. I'm like, that's fine. You're gonna see the thing. And you're like, okay, cool, and that's it. I never promised that I wasn't going to use really bad stock photos, so here's really bad stock photo. So as far as calls to action, leave us a comment, like, watch the video. These are all sort of engagement metrics. Click here, as in like learn more, shop now, learn more in general, so click to our website. Sign up for our newsletter is sort of more conversion focused call to action. Tag a friend. Have you guys seen that? Do you guys do that when a brand or somebody asks you to tag a friend? Do you guys do that? No? Are there platforms, like I've seen it a lot on Instagram. People do that on Instagram all the time. Like, you need to see this, so they'll like mention them.
I feel like it only works with the brands that don't ask for it.
The tag a friend.
Yeah.
We've done, so I've seen sort of, it's like 50-50 split. It really, you know what's funny, it depends really on the brand's clout. So that's the thing, is like the brand has to be honest with itself. Is like, do people think that I'm cool? Am I trying to be cool? Like, so it kind of works that way. I mean, there are other ways to get people to share your content other than just being cool. So submit your own content, user-generated content, hugely important. Like, especially to a brand like Kmart that has like a perception problem. If you see other people that look kind of like you or are in your age range that are wearing something, that's way more powerful than anything Kmart can do on behalf of itself. And then retweet and share this, which I'm not that big of a fan of, but again, I don't want to say people are stupid. Sometimes it works, and it blows my mind every time it works, but it works, so just something to consider. Always create content with purpose. Again, I didn't make this, and I didn't put the proper attribution at the bottom, but there's sort of 3 types of content that you can make. One is emotional, and so it could be emotional either way. It could be super happy and uplifting. It could be a little sad. Educational is usually when we're talking to moms, especially when I'm doing some CPG stuff. It's really important to be educational. Moms are surfing the web with purpose. They want information. They don't care about the fluff. And so it's really important for us to be super direct and tell you, exactly what to do with this product and why it's good, why it'll help your life. But also with skincare sometimes. Sometimes people don't know how to use skincare, or don't know how to use multiple products. You don't know if that product will affect their skin negatively. So education is important in that industry as well. And then entertaining. So probably more of the brands that you guys chose for your midterm are the entertaining ones. Correct me if I'm wrong. Who picked a really practical brand? Who picked a brand because he thought that they had like a really practical approach? Anybody? What were some of the brands that you guys picked for your midterms? What'd you pick?
One of them was Urban Outfitters because they do a lot in the lifestyle category.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like Urban Outfitters actually. I think
But they've also made huge mistakes.
that is true. Well, they've made merchandising mistakes that I'm aware of, unless there are other mistakes that I'm not
Yeah,
aware
it's just
of.
like that they have to confront it on social media, and I didn't think they did a good job doing it.
that is so crisis, how Urban manages a crisis is important. I think what's great about Urban Outfitters is that they're one of the few brands that are very aware of the full social ecosystem. So they'll hit me with display advertising, they'll hit me with a newsletter, and they'll hit me with a newsletter that's like, we saw you looking at this thing in your cart, or like you added this thing in your cart, do you still want it? And I'm like, oh, kind of forgot about that, but maybe I do want it. So I have been converted by Urban Outfitters.
I also think they do a good job being different on the different platforms.
Yeah.
Or like some brands just post the same thing on Instagram and Facebook
Oh
and
yeah, they
Twitter
syndicate.
and
Yeah.
everything, and it's like, then why would I follow multiple platforms if you're just gonna post the same stuff?
That's great. That's actually really, really great insight, and that completely negates my next slide. So this is how an agency with not that many resources does it. This actually, I did this for Sarah because this is a healthcare pitch that I was in. So when we both worked together and worked in pharma and healthcare. Not exactly the sexiest, but
Hey.
I thought it was fun. I liked it. I really liked it. So I recently pitched a healthcare company, and so this is terribly boring, so I'm not even going to read this to you. But this is an idea of what we propose to them in terms of like the types of content that they should be creating, where that content should live. Does anyone know that one? This is obviously LinkedIn. So this is Medium. Do you guys read Medium or have a Medium account? You guys know what Medium does? So it's basically, it's somewhere caught between like long form blogging and micro blogging, which is like Twitter. It was actually started by people who worked at Twitter, and they wanted to deliver sort of more, I guess, academic thoughts in the form of snackable content to people, if that makes any sense. And does anyone know that one? You guys recognize that logo at all? Is it just fuzzy? You really don't recognize it? It's Quora. I actually kind of love Quora. But yeah, we recommended it. I mean, this is the brand is called PCDC, so it's Primary Care Development Corporation. And let me see if I can try to explain it to you in like one sentence. Basically what they do is it's almost like they're a consultant company that helps underserved communities set up and optimize their primary care centers. So they set up doctors' offices and make sure that they run efficiently with very few funds. So they create these long thought leadership pieces that no one's gonna read, and we told them no one's gonna read that. We told them to break it up into long form. So send the full piece by newsletter or post it on your website. Guarantee no one's gonna read it anyway, but just put it there. And then break them out to little chunks for LinkedIn. So once a week, we recommend that they do that. So short form, again, Medium's trying to make it snackable. Put some infographics in there, make it jazz it up a little bit, because I know this is not the most entertaining topic ever. And do that twice a week, and then answer questions in real time on Quora. Does that make sense? Here's what it looks like in a more traditional brand. So long form is blog posts, short form is scheduled content, 2 to 4 times a week. A lot of brands like to post a little more than that. I'm trying to get my brands to pull back a little bit. And then micro publishing. So on Pinterest and Twitter, obviously it's really important to be real time. How am I doing on time?
You got about 10 minutes.
10 minutes! Oh my
10
gosh. Okay, so this directly answers one of your questions that you guys wanted to know. How do you find out what's trending? I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm super good at Papa. But have you guys seen this before? It's some girl. I don't even know what she does or who she is, but she's brilliant, and she programmed this thing to just pull in trending topics. So I'll make sure to post the link to the Facebook group after this. But it's incredibly helpful. You get to see what's trending. Obviously, we were watching the whole blue dress situation unfold on this dashboard. So yeah, and again, for that really boring healthcare company, we sort of pulled in verbatims on how to join conversations. and then I'm going to have to breeze through this because I only have 10 minutes. But basically what you wanted to know is how do we identify the right platform to use, and are there any new forms of social media that we should be aware of? So I wanted this to be an activity. I don't think we have time for it. Unless you want to like really, really quickly lightning round, like yell stuff out at me. Yeah? You want to try it? Cool. Alright. So Facebook, how do people use it? Anyways, how do you use Facebook? What do you do on Facebook?
I use it to keep track of other people.
Yeah. Basically, like, yeah. So connect with your friends and family, share daily updates on your life. How brands use it, basically a lot of brands use it as their digital hub. So Facebook's actually replaced websites for a lot of brands. I don't think that's really smart, but it is their digital hub. It's where they play the most, where they spend the most. Why they do it is because of the ability to hyper-target. I can get real, it's kind of creepy how specific I can be in terms of who I want to target my content to. I can pick people who are interested in a certain thing. I can pick people in a certain part of the country within a certain age bracket who are interested in a certain kind of thing and who even make a certain amount of money, and it gets like way creepier than that, and I won't like get into it, but it's incredibly powerful, and that's why a lot of brands invest a lot in it. Twitter, users have two-way dialogues with celebrities, publishers, brands. You guys know this. Brands like to do it, like to use as the front line of their real-time engagement. It's an active resource. It's a content testing ground. They earn borrowed equity. So this is usually where we connect with our influencers. So all the bloggers. So what do you guys think of bloggers these days? Bloggers and vloggers. Do you guys usually know when there's a brand that's sponsoring their content? Is it like really obvious to you? And what do you guys do when do you skip over it? Do you like not read it? Interesting. So Instagram, people use Instagram to elevate their everyday. They feature artistic images. Obviously Snapchat is the antithesis of this, in that like you don't have to like make sure everything's framed correctly and everything's a beautiful photo and it says something about how awesome your life is. Snapchat's just like, here's me making a stupid face before class. So the way brands use Instagram is they personify themselves. They like to give a first person view. That's where you see all those like pictures of like, you know, product as if like someone had just used it. So products in a beautiful bathroom, like skincare products in a beautiful bathroom, like other stuff around it. Pinterest, users look to Pinterest as a visual bookmarking platform. You guys already know that. Brands use Pinterest to inspire, so it's that inspiration phase of that path to purchase. User journey, this is just an example, so don't take it literally, but this is kind of what a user journey looks like. And obviously, you guys know that this is like my shorthand for blog, right? You all get that? No? Maybe I wasn't very clear. And then Facebook plays an important part at every stage. Twitter actually plays a really important part at every stage. Does anyone know why Instagram's missing from conversion? Because you can't link out from Instagram right now. There are ways around it. You guys probably are, if you're like fashion-y, you probably you know about reward styles. You can usually do a reward style or something else. It's usually through a link that's actually in the profile, not necessarily attached to the piece of content, but that's why I left it out. Pinterest, obviously, very conversion heavy. Search is only important in the beginning, newsletter, and then obviously your e-commerce website for conversion. So evaluating the channels. How do I figure out what channels my brand should be on and what they shouldn't be on? So one thing that we do is, again, I have access to a bunch of really creepy tools that tell me a lot of things about a lot of people. So on Facebook, I get to see or drill down into all the women in the U.S. ages 18 to 64 interested in shopping and fashion that have less than a 75K household income, because my product is being sold at a lower price point. So that's the 91%. And then as far as what you currently already have, your current following is only 9% of that. So there's opportunity there to gain 91% market share. You're never going to, but it's kind of how I relatively figure out the opportunities. On Twitter, you're only reaching 1% of all U.S. Females interested in of all ages, because obviously no one gives their age on Twitter. But interested in style and fashion. Does anyone know how Twitter figures out that you're interested in style and fashion? They watch all your content. Oh, I'm
Like
sorry.
who you follow and what you post.
Yep, who you follow, what you post, they watch all your content. Again, it's super creepy. But awesome for me. And then Instagram, a little less scientific there.
No, I was just telling you.
Oh,
4 minutes.
5 minutes. 4 minutes? Oh man. So Instagram, a little less scientific, but we're reaching about 15% of our max capacity anyway. Then after that, we prioritize the channels. I have like a whole section. So again, the funnel, awareness, consideration, conversion. Who addresses all of those? So then I prioritize and figure out where we're investing the most time, money, resources, putting the most content. This is what the social media landscape is right now. And here's a slide that I put together for you guys. Can you name all of these? This one? Anybody?
It's Meerkat.
We're gonna do, yeah, Snapchat is obviously give you guys that one. What about that one? No?
Yes.
Periscope, which is basically Meerkat. This one, does anyone use this one? I love this one. I mean, the site itself is pretty clunky, but I think the utility is interesting. It's in the shopping category. No? Wanilo? I'm pronouncing that right. Anyone use Wanilo? No? Alright. Anyone know that one? Actually, I'll get this. Let's do that. So social filtering is going to be huge in the next coming years. Not that I want to be all like future of social media. I hate those. I hate when people are like, this is the future of social. But I do see a trend of like social filtering. It's like people still want to use Facebook, but Facebook has become really frustrating to use. So how can we create an app that like makes it a little less frustrating to use? Anonymous. So we've got Secret. We've got Yik Yak. Oops, I have it. And then Whisper. Then messaging, WeChat, WhatsApp. Key. These are all really important because they're global, and so that's kind of how social is sort of tapping into global markets, which is really hard to break into. Finally, do you guys want to work for me? Who wants a job? Who wants a job with me specifically? You don't have to answer that. I actually don't have the answer. So this is the life of one of the 5 people on my team. And it is comprised of community management, content strategy, analytics, and thought leadership. We've actually added some stuff to it. Right now, my social media managers are getting SEO certified. And then in the coming weeks, they're actually taking the new Facebook Blueprint course to become Facebook Blueprint certified. Does anyone know what that means? So they will be able to run search campaigns, and they will also be able to promote their own posts through Facebook media. And figure out what posts, and figure out how much money to put behind it, and figure out which levers to pull, which ads to turn off, things like that. So under community management, all this stuff. Round the clock monitoring, reinforcing positive sentiment, so having, not just answering questions and addressing complaints, but having really meaningful, positive dialogues. Sorry guys. Engaging with influencers, magazine editors, like publishers, and the skincare community at large. So this is for a skincare brand. And then on-site coverage of live events, which is more fun stuff, behind the scenes, live tweeting, things like that. Content strategy. So they have to personify the brand. So all that brand personification stuff that we did, they need to live and breathe that every single day and make it come to life across all their platforms. They need to prepare monthly content calendars. They need to create and capture magazine quality lifestyle images. So some of them prefer to actually create the images themselves instead of do it through our creative team, which is great. They oversee creative production to ensure alignment across creative assets. They represent and advocate for the community during brainstorms. So they do participate in our larger strategic brainstorms for campaigns. And they're there to represent the community and really advise the creatives who get a little crazy and rowdy sometimes and a little carried away on what is realistic and what they think the community is going to respond to. Analytics, they do a lot of analytics. Probably for some of them the bane of their existence. So they do weekly audits. Those are just internal. They do not go out to the client, and they're just presented to me So I can offer them ideas on how we can be nimble and optimize and get better in real time. They also do monthly analytics reports. These things are loaded, they're huge. And they consist of a dashboard and a creative analysis. And then thought leadership. So that's really, really important to me that they establish themselves as thought leaders and experts. That is sort of their main value that's going to carry them throughout their career. So enforcing community management best practices across all social channels, remaining vigilant with regards to platform updates and new technologies, and educating internal and external stakeholders. Just because you work at a social agency does not mean everybody knows the ins and outs of social, so I need them to be the experts and be the eyes and ears and the advisors when I can't be there. Contribute to strategic planning and research and leverage relationships with, again, this was for a skincare brand, so with influencers, basically, in order to increase exposure. There was supposed to be a Q&A, but I think I've run out of time, and that's it. Any thoughts, feelings, questions? No?
If you clean up those slides, can we post them?
Yeah,
Because I think that'd be
absolutely.
really
Yeah.
useful resources for them.
Awesome. I will totally do that.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you guys. I'm sorry I had to speed through that last bit.